Hey friends, welcome back for another TBR jar video. I am so excited to be making this video today. I feel like it has been ages since I sat down in front of the camera. I did take a little hiatus because I was doing some travel for work. I was at a conference. I do have footage from that. I made a little travel vlog, so that will be going up on the channel in a couple weeks. And I know that's not my normal content, but I am really excited to share it with you all because I got to do some really fun things while I was traveling. And then as soon as I got back, it was like the busiest time at work because I work at a college. So it was the start of the semester. So I did take just a few days off, but I am back and I am so excited to pick out my February TBR. And before we jump in to grabbing the TBR jar and starting to pull books from the cart, I just want to say welcome because I have some new friends here on the channel. So thank you so much if you have recently joined the channel or followed. I know that my sweet friend Danielle has definitely sent some people over because we will be doing a buddy read, and I'm going to tell you all about that. But I just wanted to take a second to say thank you for being here and welcome. And if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I'm Haley and I am so excited that you're here. So, as I mentioned, this month I will be doing a buddy read with my friend Danielle. I'm going to link her channel in the description and I'll pop up a couple pictures of her videos because I absolutely love her channel. So, let me tell you what we're reading and then I'll tell you a little bit about her. So, Danielle and I are going to be buddy reading The Inheritance Games, and we have talked a lot back and forth on our YouTube videos. She's actually one of the first booktubers who has been a mutual of mine on YouTube, and she has always been so kind and so sweet. And she saw that I recently hauled The Inheritance Game, so we got to talking about this, and we decided that we would do a buddy read. So I'm very excited for this. This is a very well-known series. It is YA, so I'm curious to see how I'll like that, or at least I believe it's YA. But I think this is going to be really fun. I've heard a lot of good things about this. I haven't heard great things about the, I guess, prequel or sequel series to this one, but I've heard really good things about this original series. And I've never read any Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but I do have a few of her books on my TBR. So I'm very excited to read this and also to share this experience with Danielle. And to tell you a little bit more about Danielle, like I said, she is one of my favorite creators here on the platform. I honestly, when I want a cozy video to dig into, to just really get that like sense of joy and calmness, I feel like her channel is the perfect place to go to. She always radiates such positive energy, and I really love that about her. Some of my favorite videos that she makes are her thrift shopping videos, as well as her videos where she goes to little free libraries. I live in an area where I don't have a lot of options for thrift stores or little free libraries, but I absolutely love seeing people experience them. And so I really enjoy watching those videos of hers and seeing all the great finds that she's able to discover. And another thing that I really love about Danielle is that while we do have some overlapping book taste, I also feel like she really likes some books that I wouldn't normally reach for or haven't heard of. She does a really good job of highlighting books that she finds that just spark her interest when she finds them out shopping or in a thrift store. And so I really love that about her because I feel like I get a lot of recommendations that I wouldn't normally find from other channels. So please, if you're watching this and you don't already follow Danielle, head over there, check out her videos. She's trying to reach 1K subs. She said by February 1st, so fingers crossed that she can achieve that. But if you don't already follow her, please head over, check out her channel. She totally deserves it. And I absolutely love her content. So I feel so good to recommend her to you. I think you guys will love her as well. And I'm super, super excited to get into our buddy read in February. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So, so thankful for you, Danielle, if you're watching this. And I'm so excited for our read together. All right. So now let's get into the TBR jar. We're going to pull 6 prompts like we do every month, and we will pick books primarily off of the TBR cart, but I do have an additional shelf that's over here behind you that has more TBR books on it. So if I can't find something here, we will go to the TBR shelf. But since we're getting down to business, I'm going to attach the mic and I'm going to go ahead and get right into the jar. All right, let's get into prompt number 1. These are seriously some of my favorite videos to make, so I'm always excited for a new month to come around. All right, so prompt number 1. Oh, nice and easy. All we have to do is pick a paperback book, so I'm super excited to get that prompt. I have a little spoiler for my January wrap-up, but I recently read some Octavia Butler and just fell in love with her and her writing all over again. So since this is pretty much a free choice of any of my paperbacks, I do have Parable of the Sower down here on the 3rd row, so I think I'm going to pick Parable of the Sower. All right, so this is Parable of the Sower. It is part of a series from Octavia Butler, and I will read the synopsis for you. When global climate change and economic crises lead to social chaos in the early 2020s, California becomes full of dangers, from pervasive water shortage to masses of vagabonds who will do anything to live to see another day. 15-year-old Lauren Olamina lives inside a gated community with her preacher father, family, and neighbors, sheltered from the surrounding anarchy. In a society where any vulnerability is a risk, she suffers from hyperempathy, a debilitating sensitivity to others' emotions. Precocious and clear-eyed, Lauren must make her voice heard in order to protect her loved ones from the imminent disasters her small community stubbornly ignores. But what begins as a fight for survival soon leads to something much more, the birth of a new faith and a startling vision of human destiny. So I am really excited to read this. I really love Octavia Butler. The first book I read by her was Dawn, which is a sci-fi book and series, and I feel like all of her books have some form of like magical realism or sci-fi in them, and I really have just loved everything that I've read by her so far, so I think this will be no exception. So I feel like we're starting off strong for February with what I expect will be a 5-star read. All right, let's get our second prompt. Okay, another fun one. All we have to do is pick a book with a pretty cover, and I feel like I have some good options for this. I think I've got some books on the backside here, so they might make things a little difficult, but I do think Arcana Academy has a really pretty cover. This one kind of has gold pages as well, which I think is pretty. I'm inclined to make a case for Holly. I actually do really love this color. I really do love this cover. I don't think it's necessarily the like most stunning special edition cover there is, but I really love this one. And there's like some really cool, intricate details in here, and I've been wanting to continue this series, so I think this would be a great pick. I would also say that the Everlasting is definitely a great option. It does just have these dark colored sprayed edges. They're not quite black, but I don't think it's reading on camera. It's kind of like a teal, but this is a really pretty cover. And then I also really like the cover for A River Enchanted. I think this is really pretty as well. So I feel like we've got lots of good options on the cart today, but I do think I'm going to go with The Everlasting. I haven't read anything by Alex E. Harrow before, and this is one that I've heard really, really good things about. So let me read the synopsis to you. Oh, also, I love a map, so I definitely think this is the right choice for pretty books. So for our synopsis, we've got a legend. Sir Una Everlasting was history's greatest hero, a lost girl who would draw a sword from the heartwood and become a legend. The knight's epic feats were rivaled only by her tragic fate, a sacrifice that saved a queen and built an empire. A lie. Centuries later, Owen Mallory has dedicated his life to Una Everlasting, abandoning a promising scholarly career to defend his country. He comes home from war, broken and weary, until he finds a reason to live in the pages of a mysterious book. A love story. Sent back through time, the historian's tasked to ensure that Sir Una meets her tragic fate, but instead Owen falls in love with the complex woman behind the legend. He doesn't know how to watch her die, or how many times he's done it before. To rewrite Una's legend, they'll have to rewrite history itself. Okay, that sounds so interesting. I had no idea that this had such an intricate story within it. So I'm very excited to read this. And if I'm mispronouncing this main character's name, if it's not Una, could somebody please let me know down in the comments so that I can pronounce that right? But I am super excited for this to be book 2 on the TBR. All right, let's go with our third prompt. Ooh, okay, so a book with multiple POVs. This might take a little bit of searching. I wonder if First Time Caller has multiple POVs. I believe the sequel to this is coming out soon, so this would be good to read. Okay, this is promising. It has someone's name, so we've got Lucy and Aiden. Okay, so this one has dual POVs, and I haven't read just a straight up romance in a while, so I think this could be a really fun change of pace. Honestly, I don't feel like I probably have too much else on the cart that has dual POVs. I feel like A River Enchanted might potentially, but I'm not sure about any of the others. I do have Daydream, which possibly has it, and Sounds Like Love. But again, those are romance books, and I feel like out of the romance books on my shelf, I think this is the one that I would want to go with. So I'm going to do First Time Caller by BK Borison. This is also a new author to me. I haven't read anything else by BK Borison, so I feel like this is setting up to be a really good month for me to discover some new authors and determine if they are for me. But I think this is going to be super cute. I've heard nothing but good things about this. Lots of people say that they like this book, even if they don't love romance books. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this will be a great one. But First Time Caller is going to be the third book on the TBR. All right, I can't believe we're already halfway done. Let's go with prompt number 4. Ooh, okay, so I have to go with the shortest book on my TBR. So I've got a couple of small books on here, which I feel is unusual for me. So we might be between 2 Kazuo Ishiguro books, because I do have 2 of those and they seem pretty short. But let's take a look. This one definitely visually looks like the smallest book. This is The Remains of the Day. And just want to make sure. Okay, I believe that it goes right up to the end. So this one is 245 pages. And the other book that I have by this author on the cart is Never Let Me Go, which this one is really critically acclaimed. So let's see. Yeah, this one is a little bit longer. Oh no, it's folded. Oh, um, well, that's interesting. I wonder where I got this book. It looks like somebody did a really bad job cutting that one, so I might have to use some scissors and fix that. That's crazy. I have never noticed that before. Okay, well, this one is longer than the other one, so I'm going to put it back on the shelf. And the only book that visually looks like it might also be pretty short is The Nickel Boys, which I recently got. And oh, this one is 210 pages. So I think this is actually going to be the shortest book on the TBR. I thought for sure it was going to be The Remains of the Day, because this one looks like it's much shorter, but this one must just have thicker pages, because The Remains of the Day was 245 pages. So yeah, I think it's going to be The Nickel Boys, which is kind of a shocking turn of events. I wasn't expecting this. So this is a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, and I will read the synopsis to you. When Elwood Curtis, a black boy growing up in 1960s Tallahassee, is unfairly sentenced to a juvenile reformatory called Nickel Academy, he finds himself trapped in a grotesque chamber of horrors. Elwood's only salvation is his friendship with fellow delinquent Turner, which deepens despite Turner's conviction that Elwood is hopelessly naive, that the world is crooked, and that the only way to survive is to scheme and avoid trouble. As life at the Academy becomes even more perilous, the tension between Elwood's ideals and Turner's skepticism leads to a decision with repercussions that will echo down the decades. Based on the real story of a reform school that operated for 111 years and warped the lives of thousands of children, The Nickel Boys is a devastating, driven narrative that showcases a great American novelist writing at the height of his powers. I think this one is going to be a heartbreaking read. I have heard really good things about this book, but I haven't heard too much about the specific content matter. So even just reading the synopsis, I definitely already felt very gripped by that. And so I can only imagine how emotionally impactful this is going to be to read. So I am excited, but I do think this one's going to be a tearjerker. But yeah, I'm really glad that that prompt unexpectedly made me pull this book because I think it's going to be a great read for next month. All right, so we are 4 down and 2 to go. Let me give it a good mix. All right, penultimate prompt. Oh, a sad book. Well, I feel like we just pulled a sad book, but oh, which one of these is going to be sad? I feel like this month's TBR just wants to really get me in my feels. Um, well, I don't know off the top of my head. I do believe The Road by Cormac McCarthy might be sad. And I feel pretty confident that Beartown is probably also sad, but in the Friedrich Bachmann way. If you've read Anxious People, I feel like you'll know what I mean in terms of Friedrich Bachmann approaches some really difficult topics, but in a very lighthearted way. It's kind of like it kind of punches you in the face when it gets to the actual message because the book is so lighthearted and sweet throughout. So I have a feeling that Beartown would also be one of those books. I feel like Martyr is probably also sad, and I'm not sure about Hamnet, but I feel like it could be. I do also have They Both Die at the End, which I personally don't know anything about. I've heard great things, but I'm assuming by the title that there might be some sad things that happen in there. And I do feel like Ocean Vuong's On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous gives me the vibe that it would be one of those things that makes me very like introspective and makes me think a lot and would probably make me sad and be very speculative. So I think there's a lot of good options on the cart. Let's take a look at the synopsis for They Both Die at the End. So this says, we here at Last Friend Inc. are collectively sorry for this loss of you. Our deepest sympathies extend to those who love you and those who will never meet you. We hope you will find a new friend of value to spend your final hours with today. On September 5th, a little after midnight, Deathcast calls Mateo Torres and Rufus Emeterio to deliver some bad news. They're going to die in less than 24 hours. Mateo and Rufus are total strangers, but for different reasons, they're both looking to make a friend on their end day. The good news is there's an app for that. It's called Last Friend, and through it, Rufus and Mateo meet up for one final epic adventure to live a lifetime in a single day. Well, I already feel like the synopsis for this is making me a little bit sad, but I do think this would be kind of a bittersweet book to read. Let's read the synopsis for Beartown as well. All right, so this says, a tiny community deep in the forest, Beartown hasn't been the best at anything in a long time. But down by the lake stands an old ice rink. And in that ice rink, Kevin, Amat, Benji, and the rest of the town's junior ice hockey team are about to compete in the national semifinals. And they actually have a shot at winning. All the hopes and dreams of this place now rest on the shoulders of a handful of teenage boys. Under that heavy burden, the semifinal match becomes the catalyst for a violent act that will leave a young girl traumatized and a town in turmoil. This is a story about a town and a game, but even more about loyalty, commitment, and the responsibilities of friendship. The people we disappoint even though we love them, and the decisions we make every day that come to define us. In this story of a small forest town, Friedrich Bachmann has found the entire world. Okay, I feel like both of these sound really good, and they also both sound like at some point they are going to make me cry. I will say right now, just based on the synopsis, I'm feeling more drawn to Beartown. And I did recently read Anxious People, which was the first Friedrich Bachmann book that I've read. And so I'm kind of itching to read another book by him. So I do think that I want to go ahead and say that Beartown is going to be the 5th book on my TBR for February. Okay, and unfortunately, we are down to our last book, but I'm really excited about everything that we've picked. So I hope we get a really good prompt to end off. Okay, so our last book is going to be a book that is set in a different country. So let's see what we can do. I know Prophet Song is set in a different country. I'm not sure about Catabasis. I feel like Warbreaker is probably set in a fantasy land, so I feel like that would be a little bit cheating, but I do feel like I have some shorter books, so I feel like that could be a good contender. Probably the same for Wild Reverence. They might be set in a different country or in a different like fantasy land. I'm pretty sure both Station 11 and The Road are like post-apocalyptic America, potentially. I feel like Hamnet could be England, but I might be making assumptions. I know The Shining is in America. I don't know about the Safekeep. Well, I know that the author lives in the Netherlands, but I don't know that this book is set anywhere particular. It just says that it's 15 years after the Second World War, but it doesn't specifically say where the book is set. So I think well, here we go. The Netherlands, 1961. So it does seem like this one is set in the Netherlands, so that would be set in another country. I kind of want to do a cop out and pick Warbreaker because I was supposed to read this one before. This was on one of my TBRs for last year, and I didn't get to it, but I really want to continue the Cosmere, and this is the next book that I need to read. So let me just confirm where this is set. Yeah, this is set in Halandren's capital city, so it's definitely set in like a fantasy world, which I think someone put my dust jacket on upside down, so I'll fix that. Okay, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the small cop out just because I do really want to read this, and it's been a while since I picked up a Brandon Sanderson book, and I know Harris will be really happy if I get to this now. So the last book on my TBR for February is going to be Warbreaker. So let's take a quick review of the 6 books that we pulled. So we've got Beartown by Friedrich Bachman, The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow, and Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. And of course, I'm not replacing one of my pulls, but I am considering The Inheritance Games to be the 7th book on my TBR for February, since I will be doing this buddy read with Danielle, which again, I am just so looking forward to. I think we're gonna have such a fun time reading this. But that is everything that I am pulling today for my February TBR. So I am super excited to get to all of these books this month. And just a reminder, every month I do also post a reading wrap up of the books I read in the previous month. So if you want to know how I did on my January TBR, you'll just have to come back in a few videos to see my January reading wrap up. And if you want to know if I get to all 7 of these books in February, of course, keep an eye out for my February reading wrap up that will come in March. But as always, thank you so much for being here and joining me for today's video. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and love this little bookish community that we are starting to build. And especially if you're a new friend here, thank you so much for joining. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I love getting to chat with you all about books and interact with you through these videos. So I just can't express how appreciative I am that you are here. And if you're not subscribed, but you enjoy bookish content and want to connect, please consider liking and subscribing, and I would love to chat with you. If you've read any of these books, let me know down in the comments, or if you have any of these on your TBR, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts or what you're most looking forward to about them. But as always, thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.